Garrison Price for Tuesday, October 7th, 2025, a presentation of Bet365. We're coming to you from the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studio here at the historic Wall Center. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer. Matt Sakaris with Blake Price, four-time Juno Award winner Mike Rogerson, hitting switches, conducting things alongside interns Graziella Cruz Flores and Elijah Ford. Big show coming up.
Happy opening day, everybody. It starts today in the National Hockey League.
Hey, in a couple of weeks from now, they're doing the full 32 teams playing on one night with the staggered starts.
Frozen Frenzy, whatever it's called.
Well, intern Elijah was just mentioning to us, and of course we always gauge our interns for how the youth feel.
Yeah.
The NBA makes a really big splash with matchups on opening night. I'm not sure the NHL has the same sort of culture of making sure you have those marquee matchups on opening. They try, but it's not always there. Should we have like an opening day in baseball where everybody is playing?
You'd have to do it on a weekend, I think. I don't think the NHL is in the power position where, baseball is. So you're thinking building availability or? No, just interest. Like baseball knows, like people will take the day off to go to and or watch their baseball team on opening day. Like that's the culture of America's pastime. I don't think you're going to get that buy-in. Certainly south of the border. And you don't want to start them all after the workday. That's too much, too busy? No, too busy, yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I'm all for a busier day. Like I don't know that a 3-day I'm open to more than 3 games on opening day. Well, that's because ESPN is doing standalones, right? Like they want this triple header standalone. And I get it from ESPN's. It's a Tuesday, so it's a quieter day. Yeah. I just wonder if there's more splash available to the NHL for its opening night. Anyways, we'll discuss as the day and week goes ahead. Our Redwoods Golf Course poll question today: what is a realistic goal for the Canucks this season? You can vote, making the playoffs, winning a round, winning 2 rounds, making the Cup final. Do so at the Sakaris Price X and YouTube channels. And Blake, I want to point a couple of things out here because yesterday we went through the odds on Bet365, talked about how the Canucks are down around 20th in Stanley Cup prop betting, 10th in the Western Conference. This from Jay Fresh and Jay Fresh Hockey, who does his survey preseason every year. The biggest gaps between fan predictions of standings points versus non-fans among the 9 teams that had more than 20 fan voters in his survey. Vancouver is tied with Buffalo at +9. Canucks fans with Jay Fresh predicted a 98-point season. The non-fans said an 89-point season. And then there's Money Puck, and we've used Money Puck before to talk about the probabilities. Vancouver also the 10th choice in the West here with Money Puck, same as Bet365 and their 10th team in the West. A 42.8% chance of making the playoffs, a 16.3% chance of winning a round, just a 6.2% chance of winning 2 rounds, and then Cup final and win the Cup are such itty-bitty slivers, I don't even have a number there. Sorry, did you start with Dom's model too? I did not do Dom. I have not seen Dom's model. Dom's model has the Canucks. Oh, wait, I did see Dom's model. At 90%, and they are at 50, it's 90 points, 51% to make the playoffs. So, I mean, that doesn't jive for me. A 90-point season doesn't ever really make the playoffs, I mean, with rare exceptions. So, But if I'm not mistaken, Dom's model also had them as the number 10 team in the West. Yeah, maybe that looks a little bit low. They look like they're about 18th or something without me counting live on the air here. So middling. I mean, that's just the generic label that we can give to all these prognostications. Is that right? Pretty middling. 10th in the West is not very flattering, Matt. No.
So,
it's 10th in the West. It's Edmonton, Colorado, Vegas, Dallas, Winnipeg, Kings, Wild, Blues, Mammoth on Dom's model, all ahead of the Vancouver Canucks. So he's fallen in line with the rest of them.
Based on that, then,
Once
it's
again,
a stronger
this
West.
market, and we see this. This market is more optimistic on the Canucks than the statistical models and the other.
Well, this is a good time to bring up then, the experience of this team. There are a lot of unknowns on this Vancouver Canucks team. There's a lot of change, double-digit changes from one opening night to the next year on the Vancouver Canucks, and the experience isn't there. So you don't know what you're going to get.
Which we will get into. Now, look, for a team that's missed the playoffs in 4 of the last 5 years, that is counting on bounce backs from 2 of its most important players, in Elias Pettersson and Thatcher Demko, and relying on young players, too. Let's not forget about that. Like, you've got Jonathan Lekramacky, Arshdeep Bains, Atsu Ratu in top 9 roles right now, counting on some young players on the third defense pair as well. I voted making the playoffs. I would like to vote more aspirationally, Blake, but this franchise has to behave more aspirationally, I think, for me to get there.
I'm putting a lot of emphasis on the word goal in the question. And to me, like, the playoffs should be a non-starter. So the goal would be to win a round.
Yep, I can hear that too. That's good. If you want to drill down on that, I drilled down on realistic.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
drilled down on goal.
No, you're right.
Maybe therein lies therein lies the rub. And as you may have noticed on yesterday's program with John Shannon and Jeff Patterson, we were asking all our guests this week for their prediction on the Vancouver Canucks, the number of standings points, and the finish in the Pacific Division, if not the Western Conference. That will we'll do more of that today with our guests, Frank Corrado and Rob Williams. Blake and I will make our choices Thursday morning. Here's what I will say, partner. I don't believe the Vancouver Canucks are playing in a very good division. I think Edmonton and Vegas are very good and cup contenders, no doubt. I am not as fussy on this Los Angeles Kings team as other people are. I see a very old centerman in Anze Kopitar, and I know it's his last season, and they want to send him out on a good note. But if his level were to drop significantly this year, I would not be surprised. I have always loved the tools of Quinton Byfield. I want him to be a good player because he's fun to watch, but it is really time for him to launch as a second overall pick. I don't love their wingers, per se. And I'm not even sure about their defense, where you're carrying around a Joel Edmondson and a Cody Ceci, as well as Darcy Kemper, who's been up and down. And I know when he's up, he's really up and a Vezina candidate. But I just go back a couple of years ago where LA seemed to have that terrific stable of young prospects. And I thought it would turn into more than what I'm looking at here. And that is a team that is perennially lost in the first round to the Edmonton Oilers. And quite frankly, if LA were to sag this year, Blake, and not make the playoffs, I would not be the least bit surprised.
Second oldest team in the NHL, the LA Kings overall. Now, Anze is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting in that category, but it's just one guy.
Corey Perry's there too at 40, right? But he's on IR. So.
Yeah, but the
Kemper's 35 too, Blake.
I'm hearing some people really thinking that Anaheim could take a jump.
So that's the one team that I'm a little concerned about in a Canucks context.
My first and McTavish are the new core there, right?
Well,
So
my first blush on Anaheim is that really nice collection of young talent. I think they're a year away. But if they were a year ahead of schedule, that would not surprise me because, Blake, they got that goaltender.
Yep.
And that kid was sensational last year behind a team that was pretty leaky. So if Dostal can take the next step, I think Anaheim might be a much more difficult out than they have been in previous years. I think they got some scoring there. We'll see how Carlson matures because I think McTavish is ready to really ignite there. I like their top 9.
They got good old guys.
I like the left side of their defense with all 3 of those young players who I think have a lot of upward mobility. Look, and we've said this about the Canucks in years past, the argument of improvement from within, I think applies to Anaheim more so than just about any team in the Pacific.
They've got a lot of old guys that if they can juice out one more year, Michael Granlund, Alex Killorn, Chris Kreider, Ryan Strome, Frank Vetrano, if those guys can bring, some vintage form, you sprinkle in guys like McTavish on top of that, Leo Carlson, they could be good.
I typically am a little higher on Seattle than most people.
I see nothing there.
Yeah, you see, everyone says they see nothing there, but I see a halfway decent collection of forwards and a halfway decent collection of defensemen. Plus, improvement from within, I think, applies to them as well. Matty Beniers, Shane Knight. We'll see if Berkeley Catton, their 19-year-old, can stick. But also, names you may not even know as well. Yanni Neiman, Ryan Winterton, Riker Evans on defense. So it would not surprise me if Seattle's hanging around the playoff bushel when it's all said and done.
Oh, they'll be mid-80s team. They're like a non-playing character. Like they're just there and I think taking up space.
Calgary will do well to get to the 96 points they got last year. They're relying on some older players up front, some of whom had good years last year, and we'll see if the goaltender can, in his sophomore season, approach the status he did when he nearly won Rookie of the Year. And then San Jose, it's just going to be another long season, I'm afraid, for San Jose.
Probably another couple long ones, yeah.
We're heading off to the Redwoods Golf Course later today. Beautiful afternoon for golf in British Columbia. Beautiful afternoon for a lesson, especially if you have a child age 6 to 16. Junior lessons, private, semi-private, available right now, flexible to your schedule. Set your children up for the sport of a lifetime. If you've got an event you're planning, they do awesome job with their custom corporate events at Redwoods. We're talking team building, networking. The packages can include lessons if you're so inclined, food and beverage as well. Go to redwoods-golf.com/instruction. Let's get to our top story, brought to you by Yellow Dog Brewing, Neighborhood Brewing, Foolish Winery. Well, we mentioned this yesterday with JPAT. There is one thing about setting an opening night roster to meet the NHL deadline on the Monday before the regular season. There are oftentimes adjustments made before setting your opening night lineup for your first game. And as predicted yesterday, Pierre-Olivier Joseph is not healthy enough from that groin injury to play on Thursday, so the Vancouver Canucks have placed him on injured reserve. Victor Mancini has been recalled from the Abbotsford Canucks, and there is more evidence that the 18-year-old Braeden Cootes will make his debut on Thursday, this against the Calgary Flames at Rogers Arena in the season opener.
Well, more evidence is that Teddy Blueger, again, did not take part in practice, so they've got 4 healthy centers.
They have 4 healthy centers. It's a simple equation.
After missing a week, are they really going to drop, even if Blueger can practice tomorrow, are they really going to just say, one practice is good, here's your NHL opener? I doubt it.
And if you're sitting there saying, well, Joseph was the 7th defenseman, he wasn't going to play anyways, why would they? They have to allow for the fact that if a defenseman were to get injured in morning skate, come down with food poisoning or a stomach flu, whatever the case during the day, they need a defenseman there in reserve. Derek Forbert, as you know, was being load managed through the weekend. They said it was precautionary. He was back out on the ice tonight, but he's still worth monitoring over the next couple of days. And Blake, we should also note, this will be the final, unless they got another one coming here in the next 24 hours, this will be the final paper transaction we see from the Vancouver Canucks. If you're not familiar with the term, paper transaction refers to, quote-unquote, papering a player down to the farm, meaning the player does not actually get on a plane or a bus or whatever and report to the AHL team. It is simply a paper transaction with the NHL head office because the intention is to have the player come right back up to the big team. Paper transactions are allowed until August 10th, later this week, Blake. At that point, if you send a player down, the player does actually have to go and report to the minor league team. Now, in the case of both the Abbotsford and Vancouver Canucks playing home games here, that's easy peasy. That's a drive down the highway. But of course, oftentimes the Canucks are abroad when Abbotsford's at home, or Abbotsford's abroad when the Canucks are at home. So new rule coming with this new CBA on paper transactions. As you mentioned, no Blueger. So the 18-year-old rookie Coots, he'll play. You know he'll play. First, he would become the best we can tell, he would become the 8th 18-year-old to suit up for the Canucks in a regular season game. We went through the list the other day. You have the 4 guys who stand out. Maple Ridge's Cam Neely, Trevor Linden, Peter Nedved, Jim Sandlak. And then, as Dan Murphy noted on social media yesterday, there are 3 other 18-year-olds who played for the Canucks, did not register a goal. That would be Garth Butcher. We all know Garth. He played 5 games for the Canucks, then was sent back to his junior team. Robert Murphy, who was a second-round pick, played 5 games for the Vancouver Canucks and was then dispatched to his junior team. And the infamous J.J. Daigneault, who, Blake, the best I can tell, played 1 NHL game, the season opener against Quebec as an 18-year-old. Talk about how long ago. This was the Quebec Nordiques, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not familiar, look them up. He played 1 game against Quebec as an 18-year-old, the season opener in 84. Was it 84, 85? No, different year. And then turned 19 in advance of the next regular season game. So 1. That's how rare this is.
Yeah, it is. It's very
it's
rare.
Exceedingly
NHL teams
rare.
Don't like to hand this level of responsibility to a guy they just called across the stage months previous, especially if you're not on the podium picks 1, 2, or 3. And we chronicled it yesterday. Like, this is a very rare thing. And anytime he's going to get past the opener is going to be rarefied air. It really is.
Matter of fact, I have a family member in town who used to live here in the early 90s. He said, as he walked in the studio today, when's the last time the Canucks had an 18-year-old play for them? We're like, well, you may remember Peter Nedved. It was that era. Patrick Allvin, the general manager, has spoken today at Rogers Arena. We just got this video and audio in, so let's hear from Allvin on Braeden Cootes. And, of course, that 9-game limit. Anything after 9 games means he burns a year on his entry-level contract, so that's sort of the next big benchmark for Cootes. Here's Allvin speaking on Cootes and the 9 games.
I think we owe it to Braeden, obviously, that he earned his way to be here today. And looking like he's playing on Thursday. But I think we got to be a little bit careful here and evaluate as we go along. No difference from what we have done since he earned his first game in CL and continued to earn another day. So he's young, but he's playing a very, very mature game. So we'll see here as we move along.
Yeah, so the evaluation continues. Allvin was cautious there. They're not going to guarantee him anything more than 9 games, nor should they. At 15th overall in this past draft, Coots is the lowest pick to stick in the NHL from this year's draft class. Matthew Schaefer, the first overall with the New York Islanders, he made the team. Michael Misa, the second overall to San Jose. Brady Martin, the 5th overall, not only made the Nashville Predators, but there are reports there he's going to line up as their first-line center.
Oh, gosh.
That's how barren the Nashville Predators are at center ice. And then congratulations to Coquitlam's Benjamin Kindle, the 11th overall selection out of the dub to the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's made the team as well.
And again, the 9-game threshold is debatable as to whether or not a team cares about that. It's cheap talent that you could slide forward to get 3 years of cheap wares out of going forward if you keep it under 9 games. But if it goes past, you could also make the argument, if you have really high hopes and really good projections on what this player is going to be, you don't want to pay him after his 3rd full year in the NHL because he could be quite good and he could be quite expensive at that point. After his 2nd full year in the NHL, the point totals might be a little bit more modest and you might get him on a little bit of a cheaper deal and maybe even a bridge deal which seems to be going the way of the dodo these days. And a bridge deal, of course, would allow you then to buy all sorts of unrestricted years on his third contract. So there's a lot of different logic, and you just don't know when you have to make that decision.
Let's hear more from Alvin on the kid Coots and how he'll be evaluated in the regular season.
Yeah, you're right. I think on Thursday is the real test. We know that it's a difference from the preseason here, but he's such a mature kid off and on the ice here, so I think he's level-headed. I think he doesn't get too far ahead. I believe that he's preparing himself for just the next day. So I think it's more load management, matchups. I think those are things that comes into the coach decision how to play him there. But in terms of skill set and in terms of how he fits in with the group, he's been impressive up to this point.
It's a total accomplishment that he's looked as good as he has in the NHL preseason, but it's the NHL preseason.
Right. Very important point.
Veterans don't care. Veterans have that switch, and they will flick it as of this week.
Right.
Secondarily,
you could
half
tell
the team is AHL.
you could tell Evander Kane and Connor Garland gave not a single solitary F about these preseason.
And half the other half the rest of them are AHL players, which again, still really good for him to be looking that good amongst AHL players. So no one's diminishing that.
Right.
But this is another step, and for him to continue to look good is going to be hard.
It's so right because, Blake, I've seen it and I get it. Fans are enthusiastic. They're optimistic. You want these young players to succeed. But I read some stuff this week about, Jonathan Lecker-Mackey having punched through and made it. I was like, whoa, okay. The NHL making the team and playing on night one is a starting block, not a finish line.
Yeah.
There is an awfully long way to go before you've, quote, made it in the NHL. And made it means you are in the lineup night in, night out. There is never a question from the coaching staff about who we're writing into that card.
I would rather he had the preseason that he did rather than an O for preseason, but ultimately, as of right now,
just think of it,
he's got no goals.
He had a pretty poor first week, and then by the end of the second or third week, we were talking about how great he was. Well, it's not long ago where he was struggling some. So to anticipate that it's going to be perfectly linear and the graph is going up, 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 spaceship to the moon, well, not typically what happens. Usually there's a couple of steps forward, a couple of steps back.
And people are probably sick of the Shane Wright comparisons for both Coots and, to a lesser degree, Lecker-Mackey. But that second year where Seattle gave him a look, 4 goals in 8 games. Like, if you told us that Braeden Cootes would have 4 goals after 8 games, everybody would be standing on their chairs going, keep him in the lineup. But Seattle made a different decision, and I don't think they're better or they're worse off for it.
Alvin also made an important point there I want to pick up on when he talked about it's the coaching staff's decision. Some of it's going to have to do with style and load management. Adam Foote has already signaled this, right? Adam Foote, when asked about the team identity, talked about being more a chameleon-like team, that against skating teams we're going to skate, against heavier teams we're going to play a different way, that he wants this club to be able to be comfortable and find routes to victory against every style that they're going up against. And I think that's going to apply a whole lot to Braeden Cootes. He's a good skater. On nights when you want to make sure you're a skating team, I think Braeden Cootes features. On nights when you're going up against some behemoths and you're worried about him matching up physically, strength-wise, especially in the dot, those might be the nights, Blake, where you sit him down and let the veteran guys play. So we'll see how Foote and the coaching staff deploys him. But, for the kid, you're in the lineup on opening night in the NHL at 18. That's just chef's kiss. And I hope the Coots family really enjoys that, much like the Savage family is enjoying this run for their kid with the Toronto Blue Jays from out of nowhere. The roster. Elijah, intern, pointed out to me 7 players have played fewer than 50 NHL games for the Vancouver Canucks. The average age is 27.6. That's 6th youngest.
Which sounds super young based on their rank.
But Coots really brings down the age.
But a team like Montreal is a full 2 years younger than that. So if you think the Canucks are young, go down from 6th to 1st, and you've got a 25.8 average for the Montreal Canadiens.
6 Canadians on the team, including the dual national Tyler Myers, although he's played for Canada internationally. Our old friend Grady Sass had some as the lightest team in the National Hockey League, Blake. And are they big enough? Are they tough enough? Can you play heavy hockey? When I look at the opening night 12 forwards, those are very valid questions.
Lekramacky and Coots should be at the buffet. You've got a family member from Vegas. We should send them to Vegas to just live at a buffet.
I'm not sure there are any. Are there any more strip buffets going? Okay,
it's got to be.
No, but that's one of the things they've taken a lot of them away.
What's the medieval one?
Well, I love me a Pharaoh's Feast at Luxor.
No, what's next door to the Luxor? The castle.
Oh,
Excalibur.
They've
got a buffet for sure.
And as Rob Williams notes, 11 players are on the opening night roster who were not there 1 year ago. So a fair amount of turnover for the Vancouver Canucks. That's, young players who made the team like Bains and Carlson, Lekramacky. That's the imports from New York and Pittsburgh during all that trade activity last year. And then there's, of course, Thatcher Demko, who was injured at this time last year and was not on the opening night roster as he was getting over that popliteus injury. JPAT notes 6 members of Abbotsford's AHL championship team starting the year in the American Hockey League. Bains, Lekramacky, Ratu, and Carlson with the Vancouver Canucks. How about our boy Artie Sheloves? A second consecutive year of getting the starting assignment in goal, this time for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Of course, he started the Canucks opener last year in that barrage of Calgary goals in the third period.
Is there a way that the Canucks...
Artie has beaten out Delta's Tristan Jarry as the starting goaltender on opening night for the Penguins. Many who follow that team believe that's a signal to Jarry from the new coaching staff there that nothing will be given.
Is there any way that you would ever castigate the Canucks for making the choice that they did on Artur Sheloves? Do they have a way to come out looking bad here?
Yes.
Yeah, why?
Well, if Sheloves becomes a fantastic NHL starter, then you chose to re-sign Kevin Lankin and throw all this money into the crease when you had a young, cheap guy who could have played there.
Except that Kevin Lankin also played very, very well and had a longer resume.
You would have made the wrong choice. You would have made the choice on resume as opposed to projection.
Well, no, I don't. What I'm saying, no, that's
there are
hindsight.
A lot of
that's
ways.
hindsight.
Artur Sheloves could make them look really bad. Yes, he can.
No, but when you've done it out of nowhere, which I think for most people is what Sheloves would be doing, I don't know that you can end up looking bad.
Well, you say you do it out of nowhere. I mean, he played very well in the Stanley Cup playoffs against a high-potency team and then won a Calder Cup where he was the MVP. That's not really out of nowhere.
Yeah.
There's some credentials there.
Yeah. I mean, I still don't know that people were
the second they signed the Lankinen contract, they were really boxed into this decision.
But I did not hear anybody think.
I suppose you could have done a scenario where you let Demko play it out this year and you have Sheloves in reserve. The other problem with Artie, of course, was he was not very good as a seldom used backup. He was a rhythm guy that needed to play a whole lot, and you did not have those starts available to him in the NHL this year.
But when Sheloves was
and
traded,
he was waiver eligible.
How much feedback did we get of the Canucks just traded away the next Patrick Waugh? The Canucks just
none of that. There were a few who sweated it, but most were optimistic on. Well, most were positive on the deal because they tend to be optimistic on Canucks moves to begin with. Others recognized that it was a waiver situation where he failed as a backup last year, and so they had to make the move.
I'm going to cheer him on, but I am in no way going to hang this over the Canucks if he does do well.
He'll need your support because that's not a very
good team. No.
And I was stunned by this. Sammy Blais was claimed by the Leafs on waivers yesterday. He did not play a single NHL game for the Canucks last
Craig
year.
Berube saying he can't wait to be reunited with Blais. They had a good time together with the Blues. That was the best of times for Sammy Blais. Maybe he can get the most out of him again. He comes cheap for the Toronto Maple Leafs, obviously. But very surprising.
Give me a precedent there of a bottom six NHL winger who spends an entire season in the AHL and then goes back onto being a regular NHL fixture again.
It's a good question.
That would be a weird career arc. No?
Yeah, there has been a pretty good example of that, but it's slipping my mind, so I'll get back to it.
Well, and here's the thing is if you do claim a player on waivers during this roster set deadline, you have to keep him on the NHL team.
Yeah.
So it's not like they had the ability to send Sammy Blais immediately down to their AHL club, the Marlies. So
I've got the picture of a guy like a Wade Redden type, like an expensive guy that was sent to the minors that ended up rehabilitating himself elsewhere. But I'll figure
there was Luke Shen.
Luke Shen, baby.
But that's a defenseman.
Yes.
Like bottom six winger,
role
that's
player.
the final vestiges of an NHL roster, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're a fourth line winger, you are closer to the AHL or the unemployment line than any other position on an NHL team.
Yeah.
What's Yellow Dog up to?
Yellow Dog has a fabulous beer on sale for the entirety of the month of October that will not only keep a smile on your face, but it'll prepare you for the holiday season with its fabulous green can. The Squirrel Chaser Hazy Pale Ale, available at your private and government liquor stores.
NHL regular season starts tonight on three fronts. Chicago is at Florida for another banner raising. Ho-hum. Pittsburgh is at the New York Rangers, the Mike Sullivan game. Sully, of course, former Vancouver Canucks assistant, wins a couple of cups in Pittsburgh and is now coaching the New York Rangers. That's also JT Miller versus his hometown team.
Mm-hmm.
The new Rangers captain, if you missed that bit of news over the summer. And then Colorado at Los Angeles to finish up the evening.
Which could be an interesting game.
Mm-hmm. And one last note here. We're trying it again, Blake.
So.
ESPN has done what we wondered last week, a few weeks ago. Is someone in television going to hire John Tortorella, former Canucks coach, after his not very successful don't get your popcorn ready turn the first time around with TSN, where he didn't want to offer a single opinion?
I think he's had two stints at TSN. One which was really unremarkable, and I think he got mildly better the second time around.
He's been hired by ESPN.
Yeah.
You see Torts and PK going at it in the studio?
Well, that's the thing, is that there will be other people from the NHL fraternity, quote unquote, that will be out there on the set with him who, and we've seen both of the American panels, be very casual, unafraid to offer opinions, and that maybe they'll draw him out of his shell, and maybe we will get some Torts rants.
If I know Torts, I don't think he's going to offer much on Philadelphia because it's too close.
Yes.
I don't think he's going to offer much on the Rangers because it's his boy Sullivan coaching there. I wonder if there will be a few other teams, potentially because of the presence of a head or assistant coach, where Tortorella is not going to want to comment.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he's old school in that regard.
Yeah, he is.
Bonds are a thing
exactly.
for him. Yeah.
Very thick. If you get the unfiltered John Tortorella, you may have struck television gold, but I'm highly skeptical. Let's get to our menu. It's brought to you by Greta, a fantastic spot to watch all the games home and away. And how about Saturday? Because we're having our first Canucks Army viewing party of the season. This is Saturday, October 11th. Vancouver takes on Edmonton. It's a full-on hockey celebration with the crew from Canucks Army, our friends from Rink Wide Vancouver, Canucks Conversation. David Quadrelli's going to be your host. Going to have some fun. Game day specials, giveaways, surprises all night. The doors are at 6. The puck drops at 7. Grab your crew, rep your fan gear, get ready for the season opening party that only Canucks Army can pull off. Tickets are free. Just register for a table nationgear.ca, and we'll see you on Saturday. Frank Corrado joins here today. We'll talk to Frank. In fact, Frank gives us a very interesting answer because I point out all the situations on this Canucks team that look daunting. And he says, well, they're daunting, but I've got a glass half full view on all of them. And he's not wrong. And we'll also be joined by Rob Williams, the national sports editor of the Daily Hive. Missed Rob the last couple of weeks. He was at the Raptor preseason game last night. Alas, seat beat is not over, Blake. It continues.
There is a twist, folks.
We will be getting their predictions on the Canucks this season as well. Later in the program, we'll deal with the Whitecaps, who see some defections for international duty heading into Orlando this weekend. We've got some tiebreaker information on the BC Lions in that tightly packed CFL West Division, plus, of course, all the baseball. A couple big ones today for fans of local interest, the Blue Jays and Yankees, the Mariners and Tigers. It's all coming up on the show. Time now for our Bet365 bets of the day. Blake, as you know, yesterday I was more informational on the eve of the NHL season with all the futures on Stanley Cup and Western Conference winners. So neither right nor wrong. You lead us off.
Looking at Shane Bieber on the bump for the Jays. He's had some struggles fanning guys of late. You look at his game logs, and he hasn't been above 6 strikeouts since his debut as a Toronto Blue Jay, in which he fanned 9.
Because he's watching all those Jays hitters never strike out.
But we know that the Yankees have been rather swing happy since this series began, and for that, I think he gets to 7. So 7 strikeouts for Shane Bieber, plus 155.
That would be a lot of strikeouts coming off the 11 for Trey Savage in 5 1/3.
Yep.
So here's the thing. I don't think the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to win many games this season. But the best thing we can say about them right now, Crosby, Letang, Malkin, 3 guys entering their 20th season in the league, has never happened before. These 3 guys now go on the short list with Daniel and Henrik Sedin and Gordie Howe and Alex Delvecchio in terms of guys who have played the most organized hockey together. So they should be fresh now, right? Prior to the season.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, the guy on the other bench used to be their coach. Can't help feel abandoned a little bit. He doesn't believe in us anymore. Plus, this is Sydney on Broadway, baby. And you know how he likes the stage?
For one night only.
One night only. Give me the upset.
Yep.
And I like the value here. Pens at plus 190. This segment, a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app. Get in on the game. Use code NATION when doing so. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. Frank Corrado coming up next. Harrison Price from the Historic Wall Center.
The NHL season is ramping up, and we are so excited to be partnering up with Uber Eats all season long to deliver hockey fans the ultimate game day experience. And it starts on opening day with exclusive offers on Uber Eats, and that's always going to be the case. Always game day offers. But Uber Eats is doing something big for the Canucks fans. Come out and hang on the plaza with Uber Eats, celebrate the return of Canucks hockey. Some of our extended family, Canucks Army, Convo, Rinkwide, and the like will be hanging out on the plaza right before the game at Rogers Arena. They'll be there en masse. Uber Eats starting at 12:30 p.m., so nice and early. You don't want to miss it. Get your app downloaded. Be ready for those game day specials before, during, and after. Uber Eats is there all season long.
Frank Corrado is a former Vancouver Canuck and TSN hockey analyst. You know he's hungry as well. Frank, new season upon us.
Yeah, no, I've worked up quite a few Uber Eats bills over the years.
Yeah, so have we, especially on game nights where it's like, oh, puck drops in 15 minutes.
I don't want to
Haven't
make
cooked
dinner
yet.
No.
Time to get some Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Braeden Cootes and Jonathan Lekramaki made this club. Frank, what do you make of that?
I mean, listen, it goes to show you, there was opportunities there because you do have, some Hoaglanders not available. So you do have a spot available. It also goes to show you that for a young kid in Coots, if you can, I don't know, like if you can apply yourself, but everyone tries to apply themselves in training camp. Like if you can assert yourself in a way so that the coach can look at you and say, you know what, like I actually need this guy, or I need something like this, and he can provide it for me, then you've obviously done well. So listen, he's not the biggest guy for sure, but he had a good training camp. He moved his feet, like he did a lot of the stuff that you want your young guy to be able to do, and now he gets rewarded. And Lekramaki, like, this has been something that he should be arriving, right? Like he should be taking this next step as far as like making the team and now trying to have an impact and trying to cement yourself. Like what's your long-term outlook on the team? So, it's one step of, I think, a few more for Lekramaki. And we'll see, like, we'll see how it goes. Like that's where we're at now. We're okay. This great guys have made the teams, and everyone's going through it with submitting their 23-man rosters. Like, let's see where you're at in a couple months when the season really gets going and the games kind of are fast and furious.
If you're going to have Coots in the lineup, do you feel like you have to play him? Like 8 minutes for his development is certainly not helpful, but maybe the coach only feels like he needs him for 8 minutes. What do you think the organization agrees upon for his usage if they're going to keep him on this roster?
I know that's always going to be the interesting question. And do you send him back? How long do you keep him? Like 8 minutes a night all season long is, I can tell you right now, like that's not going to be good for his development. There's just no way you can even justify that. So he's going to have to carve out some kind of role. I guess the reason why, you would think he gets the opportunity is they're kind of thin. They're thin down the middle of the ice. So that gives you a chance to get your foot in the door. It just, I think we've kind of been, maybe the Canucks haven't been down this road, but around the league, there's teams that have been down this road. Like Philly kind of had Luchenko around for a bit last year, and eventually they sent him back to Guelph. Shane Wright was a centerman in Seattle who did the whole, okay, we're going to keep you around, then we're going to eventually send you back and slow play it. I guess the template kind of tells you that as time goes on, ice time for a player like that tends to shrink up, and eventually the decision gets made, but you don't have to make that decision just quite yet. You are afforded the luxury of seeing how it goes, and what the kind of the outlook for ice time is going to look like. But I mean, there's no possible justification for keeping a guy, that young on your roster so he could play 8 minutes a night all season long. We just have to see, like, what does that look like? Remember when Bo came up?
Yep.
Right. Like Bo made it. It was his draft plus 2 year, and he made it. Right. So he didn't make it the first year, made it the second year. He could have gone back to junior. Bo played like a real role on the team. Like it wasn't what he was doing when he was the captain, but he played and wasn't really sheltered. So
more like 12-13 sort of thing, which starts to get pretty reasonable. Yeah.
You got it. Like that's where he's going to have to be if he wants to stick around all season long. But he's also trying to do it a year earlier than Bo did it way back then.
You're hoping for an Elias Pettersson bounce back from ineffectiveness for the last year and a half, a Thatcher Demko bounce back from injury. You're hoping Filipino can be a second-line center. You need Atu Ratu to eventually be a third-line center. Plus, you have some other young players who you are relying on to some degree in this lineup. How daunted are you by all the question marks about this Vancouver Canucks team
heading into the season, Frank.
The same way, Matt, you can be daunted by all the question marks. You can also be optimistic by what if all these things go well. Like I really think that the two, it's right down the middle, and it can go either way. When the games play out, we'll see which one kind of takes shape. But like you could look at that and say Elias Pettersson is actually an 85, 90 point player in waiting and didn't have it last year. You could look at it and say Thatcher Demko is actually like a Vezina caliber goaltender in waiting. And Philip Hedl is, if he stays healthy, which is just a massive, massive question mark, he's a very, he's a good player. He's a crafty player. He's going to provide. I truly believe that. Like all these things you can take the positive side of it as well and say no one's not that no one's accounting for it, but when people project what the Canucks are going to be, they're kind of thinking they're going to be closer to what they were last year. And if all those things go well, they're not what they were last year. They're a much better team than what they were last year. So while it's daunting to kind of look at it that way, I kind of think there's also like an optimist view of things. And to be fair, right? Like if I just took any other team, for example, and I said, I do Montreal games, right? I do 30 Montreal games in the booth. Like if I just said, well, what if Nick Suzuki's hurt this year? Guess what? Montreal's not making the playoffs, right? What if Sam Montembeault, is hurt? Like not making it. Like it's just you can kind of go around the league and you can pluck those types of players and it'll sink their season. So the Canucks are not the only team in that boat. It's just there's been recently that has happened for the Canucks, and that's where I think people get a little spooked by it.
Yeah, and I want to ask you about Pacific Division in a second, and Frank will give us his Canucks prediction, as all our guests are this week. But Frank, in terms of routes to victory on a nightly basis for the Vancouver Canucks, and Blake and I have kicked this around all summer. Okay, you've got two strong goaltenders and what looks like six pretty good defensemen. Sure enough, the 2-1, 3-2 low-scoring, low-event win, I think that's a pathway that's going to be available to them. But Blake and I had also mentioned a couple of times during the summer, and you tell us because you're the X's and O's guy, but could it be, Frank, that you're just so good, so stout defensively, rarely giving up your own blue line and your own zone to teams with possession? Is there a possibility that being so good defensively could lead to more goals the other way, and thus you are able to win the higher scoring games from time to time?
All these defensemen can move the puck, so that's sort of the logic.
They can all move the puck. Like I get what you're saying, and you're totally not wrong about that. But the way, like if teams want to play this like defending up ice strategy, right, where you're going to be super aggressive on pinches and at the offensive blue line and holding the red line to make sure that teams either have to dump the puck or they turn it over, like that requires a lot of energy. It requires like a lot of energy to play that kind of upbeat style, and if you don't have it, like if you don't have the energy on a night, then you're susceptible to the 2-on-1s and the 3-on-2s. And all of a sudden, in theory, you were playing this like really stout defensive way, but if you're just a half step behind, it becomes leaky really quickly. And all of a sudden you're back to, we're relying on Thatcher Demko to steal us games again. Which I don't think it's wrong to play that way, but I don't know if it's like, if it's a bulletproof strategy. But what do? You're better off trying to play that way than saying we're going to be super conservative, we're going to pack the house, and it's going to be a shooting gallery in front of us, and we're going to try and block a million shots, because you know what you have then? Not the puck. Like so I'd rather see them try and push the battles up the ice, see if you can force turnovers, and if you're playing that way, I think you have more of a conceivable chance of having the puck and creating more offense, rather than saying, we're going to be so good in our defensive zone, D-zone coverage. Great. Spend 45 seconds in D-zone coverage. Did you ever come up with the puck? Did you ever transition it quickly? Did you ever force them into a turnover that turns into an odd man rush? So I think that's if for them to achieve what you're talking about, Matt, I think it's it has to be like a somewhat of an aggressive up the ice mindset in order for that to be the case.
Who's the team that, I come up with, the 15-year-old Predators is like the last defensive goaltender strong team that didn't really have marquee offense. Has there been a more recent example of that, of a team with muted offense but just so good defensively and in goal that, they're a competitive final 8 kind of team?
It's actually a good question. Like if I just skim through the standings from last year quickly, because I'm drawing a blank, like right off the top of my head.
I've gone through it. I can't really think of anybody.
Well, there was the pandemic year when the Habs made it to the Cup final. I don't know if anybody wants to. I mean, that team was not chock-a-block with great offense, but
are the Carolinas full of like world beaters offensively? Like they just mow teams over.
No, but they got a lot of 7 out of 10s. They kind of flood you with 7 out of 10 kind of guys rather than
they don't have like they don't have 2 100-point players. They don't have like they don't have the Kucherov point Gensel line, or if Winnipeg the Scheifele Connor Velarde line like that was last year, or the Montreal Caulfield line. Like they're really into what they do well defensively, and obviously their goaltending is good, not great, but that's a team that like it's very glaring if someone goes there and they don't necessarily play that way. So that's one that sticks out.
2019 Blues, not exactly chock-a-block with gifted offensive players. I mean, Ryan O'Reilly, fantastic player, but not your quintessential
offensive
1C
guy.
for a cup.
No, but
for a cup champion.
With saying that, like everyone was slotted on that Blues team really well, because here in where I live in Toronto, it was always Tyler Bozak can't be your first line center. But if Tyler Bozak is your third line center, you have a pretty damn good team. And where was he in St. Louis? He was your third line center. So in saying that, yeah, you didn't have the super elites maybe, but you just had everyone slotted where they were supposed to be.
What do you make of this Pacific Division, Frank? Because the more I look at the West and I sort of chop up the playoff spots, the more I wonder whether Vancouver might be in closer grasp of third place in the Pacific than a wild card, given what the Central looks like. But you tell me, do you think the Pacific will be a competitive division this year?
I think it's a 2-tier division this year. I think you have your top 4, and the Canucks would be included in that, and then your bottom 4. And the team in the bottom 4 that I likely would say has like the chance of making a jump this year is Anaheim, but I still think they're kind of just raw. Like they're young and they're gonna be figuring things out still. So I kind of think it's the top 4 and the bottom 4 in the Pacific, and it's going to be really competitive in the Central between we kind of the big 3: Dallas, Colorado, Winnipeg, but Minnesota's not going anywhere quietly. They've got really good goaltending. They've got good bones defensively. If Kaprizov's healthy all year, like that's a huge difference maker. St. Louis is they were really good in the second half last year. I think there's a lot of people that kind of think that might be the team on the outside looking in, and maybe Utah. Like Utah has something going that with Peterka being added there, and I think there's a realistic chance that it's 5 out of the Central and 3 out of the Pacific, but the Canucks should be like, they should be right in that mix of teams with like St. Louis, Minnesota, and Utah kind of all fighting for that final, there's the final 2 wild card spots, let's say.
Did you learn anything in the preseason about anybody in the West in particular, perhaps, that you didn't think you knew? Like, has your mind changed at all based on what you've seen in the last couple of weeks?
Not really. I just think it's such a mixed bag what you see in these games. Like, just from the whole day-to-day of it, traveling the day of, you got some AHL guys filtered in. You had some games where it was junior guys filtered in. It's hard to get a read on what these teams are. I think the one thing I guess you can say is, like, if teams are making these like unforced errors and there's all of a sudden like these huge gaffes and mistakes, then it starts to raise a little bit of a question mark. Like I saw that a little bit on the East Coast with Ottawa. Ottawa had a really bad preseason until they didn't. until they played their final game, and it was, oh, they're fine, right? So like using that example, teams that didn't necessarily look great in the preseason are going to show up night one and they might look great, and you're like, it's all okay. But the first couple weeks, not night one, but the first couple weeks should give us a pretty good indicator on where teams are at with their details, and if they're as sharp as they want to be. And the games are going to come pretty quickly because of the condensed season.
Do you believe in the Edmonton Oilers still? With the
$12.5 million Connor
the guy settling for Frank Corrado money,
exactly,
to finish his career.
Yeah.
Here.
Well, let's just say this, and I got some mixed reviews to my tweet that I sent out, which was joking, of course, but like Connor McDavid should win the King Clancy Award for contributions to his community, considering how much money he left on the table. He's no longer he's a hockey player. He's a philanthropist. For what he's done for the
Messier Award for leadership too. By taking less money, he can win all those things.
How much money he left on the table? He basically just said, "Keep it as is. I'll live in a flat cap world for a couple more years, even though everyone else is going to reap the rewards of a skyrocketing cap." And has there ever been more pressure on a general manager and
That's
president
a great point.
to like figure it out? He's basically said, like, I'll do my part and then some. It's on you guys to now figure out. And with that being said, like, the Oilers are still a really good team. They're in that like category of like 7 or 8 teams that you could possibly see winning a Stanley Cup, but don't mess it up, right? Like, don't spend that money poorly now. Don't sign bad contracts. And if there was ever a 3-year window to win in ever, this is it. Like this is, you can see it now. Like the finish line it's right there. It's 3 years away because he's not giving you this chance again. So like, we'll see if they get back there. They're going to have a good regular season. They probably will win the Pacific, especially if they don't have a poor start like they've done the last couple of years. But that is one of the greatest discounts that I can ever imagine.
That'll be 13 years of service, though, for McDavid into Edmonton. That seems like enough. Like, it seems like if they haven't been able to surround him in 13 years, that'll be enough.
Yeah.
Great take, Frank. And Frank's tweet is sponsored by the National Hockey League's Players Association. Okay, buddy, we've come to brass tacks. I need your Canucks prediction, points, and where they will finish vis-a-vis the division or conference.
All right, buddy. I got 4th in the Pacific, and that is going to be at 97 points. And I'm going to say they make a wild card spot with that 97 points. What do you think?
Right.
What do you think?
That's right in the territory, roughly, with how some others have picked. 4th, is that behind Los Angeles?
That is just behind Los Angeles.
Okay.
I would say Edmonton, Vegas, LA, Vancouver.
If I said to you the Kings are going to have a mighty drop-off, could you buy that?
Yeah, I could buy that. Yeah, but like they're still a good team. It's also Kopitar's last year, so I think there's going to be a lot of a lot of willingness and initiative on the team to really not let it be a downer of a year with that happening.
Yep, I hear you there. He's also in his 20th season, and I do wonder whether there's a drop-off. Personally, they have a lot. They are counting on Byfield in a big, big way, right? Like, it is go time.
Their center's beyond that.
Byfield. Well, I mean, Deneau's a good player, but
not what he used to be.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. All gets going tonight. Canucks on Thursday. We look forward to next week already. Thanks, Frank.
Okay, boys. Enjoy the games.
Harrison Price from the Historic Wall Center.
And this segment brought to you by your Pacific Toyota dealers, and in particular the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid with fold-down back seats in this sporty little vehicle that gives you enough room to put not 1, not 2, but 3 sets of golf clubs.
I have 2 sets of golf clubs in my car right now because I'm loaning my cousin clubs.
And Matt needs that room for golf clubs because all he does is golf. Mm-hmm. And the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid will take him to whatever golf course he wants, no matter how far-flung it is. Mm-hmm. He's going to Redwoods today, but he could go past that. He could go to the Falls in Chilliwack.
Not
if
that
you
I
wanted
ever
to.
would.
No.
Please. You know, when I have redwoods there. The other thing is, Blake, let's say I had a child who was a goalie. I could fit that in the back seat alongside both sets of golf clubs.
Not the child dressed as a goalie. We should just the equipment. The child would be securely fastened
to a seatbelt.
With a seatbelt.
Of course.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Although I've been tempted to put them back there at times. You can go get yours right now. 2025 Prius plug-in hybrid SE from $99 weekly at 3.49% APR for 60 months with $3,800 down, and it includes a $3,000 discount as well. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today.
Rob Williams is the national sports editor of the Daily Hive, and it's Offside Sports Vertical. We've missed him over the last couple of weeks, so it was time to bring him back, and earlier than his usual Thursday with us. Rob, how are you?
Doing great, guys. How are you?
Yeah.
Good.
We saw you at the basketball game last night. More on that in a moment. But first, we have breaking news on a promise broken from Canucks Sports and Entertainment.
The seat beat. You guys thought it was over. It's not over. Didn't we have this conversation in like June or July? And you guys were like, well, the seat beat, like it's over now. You're not gonna have anything.
They're clearly going to be done. Yeah.
And I believe my response was, well, let's see if it's ready in time. I think my prediction then was it wouldn't be ready for preseason, but it would be for opening night. And they are darn close to having the seats ready for opening night. 95% done, maybe. But there are some prominent seats in one end of the rink on the Zamboni entrance side. There are those temporary seats with the metal floors.
Yes.
Those are still maroon, and I don't see any way that they replace those before opening night. And
was Jim Benning the contractor? Did he just run out of time again?
It's incredible, right? Like they've had so much time to do this. And of course they're not ready.
Why are they so bad operationally? Like, I don't remember this when Harvey Jones was running the arena. Why?
They didn't. Someone missed an assignment, I guess, there. I don't know why they're not ready. I've asked questions about the seats. The Canucks don't seem to want to talk about the seats.
Oh, believe it or not.
right now. They, despite all the seat hype videos that we've seen in recent months. Hey, the vast majority of the seats are ready. People seem happy with them. There are cup holders, but yeah, they're missing a spot.
Right.
And it's
so it's going to look awful. And you've basically got a second tier of fans there who have to suffer those. I sure hope they do something nice for the people who have to sit in the old maroon seats.
Yeah, and credit to, I know PJ's done some reporting on this as well, that some fans have received emails from the Canucks offering them, food and beverage credits, I guess for the people that have to sit in one of the old seats, kind of as a make good offer from the organization. And I know that some people were told that they're not going to be ready until the Olympic break. So you got to wait all the way till February. So
what?
There's going to be
that's February, man.
Let's see if they do it any quicker. But I think
4 months.
Yeah, I think we're going to be looking at that one patch of maroon for
4 months.
For most of this.
That's
season.
an NFL season. I mean, dear God. Have you noticed anything else about the building that'll be different for Thursday? I know you're an eagle eye there.
More maroon seats, just all of the temporary seats. The seat I was sitting on was an old Orca Bay vintage seat. Those are my favorite. The one that has the
okay,
Orca
but these
Bay
are the fold.
whale.
These are the fold. Okay.
So the fold up, they're I don't know if they're planning to get some more black seats for the fold up chairs, but the fold up chairs are still maroon as well.
30-year-old maroon chairs with the former corporate logo on it.
Yeah, but in fairness, that's only for media guys sitting courtside at a basketball game. So who cares about them?
It looks
Now here's something for the
atrocious.
everyman. I've got to do some. I snapped a couple pictures. I always like to take inventory on the beer prices each season because they usually go up. I've still got to do the comparison to what they were before. But keep an eye out for that. It might be a Daily Hive article coming soon.
There you go. And we love those Daily Hive articles. How are you feeling about this team on the eve of the season, Rob?
Feeling pretty optimistic about them, to be honest. I feel like they're flying under the radar, and I think that's a really good thing for them. If you look at all the betting sites, like nobody's picking them.
Nobody regards them.
Playoffs. Yeah, I think the consensus from like the odds makers right now is that they're probably a bubble team and probably will miss. I think the opposite. I think they're better than they were a year ago. Certainly not on forward, at least not on paper. But they, even think about what they started with last year. I mean, Danton Heinen, he's not in the league anymore. Daniel Sprong was on the second line. It was on the second line. He's not an NHL player anymore. Their defense was in shambles. I like their defense a whole lot more this season than I did at the start of last season. I like their goaltending a whole lot better at the start of this season than I did at the start of last season. Thatcher Demko, I mean, throughout preseason, he looks like the old Demko. Is Elias Pettersson going to return to form? I think the odds are better that yes rather than no. I'm not terribly impressed with Arshdeep Bains on a second line. There's definitely some concerns, I think, with their forward group. I do feel like the way that they're setting up their forwards right now is to have one first line and 3 third lines. like we might see like Teddy Blueger, Kiefer Sherwood, and Drew O'Connor. I could see that line playing the second most minutes and being kind of a reliable checking line. So obviously not ideal on the forward ranks, but if you look at just how everything went last season, just about everything went wrong for them and they hit 90 points. So what happens just removing the drama from the JT Miller, Elias Pettersson experience? How many points is that worth? How many points is having a healthy Thatcher Demko back in the fold? The vibes are better. Perhaps the coaching change with Adam Foote. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns here that could go the other way. It could go off the rails a little bit. But I just view this as you've got this mostly the same core group of players as you did a year ago. Everything went wrong last year. I just don't think everything is going to go wrong this year. And I think that's going to be worth a big improvement in the standings. Again, everything went wrong and they were a 90-point team. I think they're probably a 100-point team. And I think they could challenge for third place in their division this season. I think at worst, they're a bubble wildcard team. So
arguing against you though, 10 different guys, 10 different guys from last year to this on opening night. I mean, that's tough to just add to 90 points. It's a different team.
Absolutely it is. But I think that they've made improvements. I think that part of this is also just like vibes. Yes. I know that's not like a really analytical reason.
Not very sensitive.
We talked about that at Yellow Dog though, Rob, like the vibes, that's it. In a regular year with a bunch of happy guys at training camp, I typically wouldn't put a lot of stock in that because everybody's happy at training camp, or at least preseason once you're through the bag skate of training camp, because it's a new season and everybody's a contender. But you're right about the important context of last year, a year from hell. So, I think just having that weight off shoulder, I'm factoring in vibes this year, whereas I normally wouldn't factor in vibes.
I think we're also going to see a lot of energy infused into this group from all the new guys. And I speak about the guys that are either rookies or second year guys or whatever the NHL classifies them as. But they've got a lot of guys that have never been full-time NHL players before. And I think you're going to see a lot of energy out of the Linus Karlssons, the Arshdeep Bains, Jonathan Lekaramaki, Braeden Cootes, DPD, like Atu Ratu, like whoever's in the lineup at any given moment. I think you're going to be seeing them really coming out of the gates with a ton of adrenaline. And contrast that with guys that they had at the start of last season, the Danton Heinens, the Daniel Sprongs, the Vinny Desharnais. I think that you're going to see a real boost of enthusiasm here. Part of that is like these guys are untested, they're unproven. But I think we saw enough out of the guys that really succeeded in Abbotsford last year. And when I think about Bains and Karlsson, I haven't necessarily loved them at the NHL level yet, but I think that they're going to take that extra step here. And I think we saw it during the Calder Cup playoffs last year. These guys are ready for that next step, and I think they're gonna add something to this group. If they all buy into Adam Foote's system, and I don't have any reason to believe that they wouldn't, I think that there's going to be a lot more things go right this year than they did 1 year ago.
Okay, then hit me with that prediction that you were on the verge of before you were so rudely interrupted by Blake Price.
Let's say I'm saying 100-point season, and I'm saying that they're going to edge out the LA Kings for third in the Pacific Division, and we're going to get a first-round matchup against Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers because the Vegas Golden Knights are going to finish first.
Answer the poll question then in follow-up. What's the realistic goal then? Is it just making those playoffs that you talked about, or is it beyond that?
I mean, the goal is convince Quinn Hughes to re-sign with the Vancouver Canucks. And I think the thing that might be able to do that, if it is possible still, maybe he's just going either way, would be the Canucks overachieving, having a really excellent season. And furthermore to that, having the young guys really make contributions. Braeden Cootes, if he can play a full season at the NHL level and really show great signs for the future, showing signs that, hey, maybe not this season, but maybe next season he's a second line center for you. That would be, that these are like best case scenario things here, right? Jonathan Lekaramaki, can he score 20 goals? DPD, is he a top 4 defenseman by the end of the year? Like these are, I'm very optimistic here in early October.
My goodness.
We'll see how I'm speaking in 1 week from now. But these are the things that I think if you're a Canucks fan and you're really hoping, what are your big hopes for this season? What were the best case scenario things? It's that more things go right for you, your star players return to form, and a bunch of these young guys really show that they're ready for this, because we don't know necessarily if they are ready for this yet. But what a great boost that would be if you all of a sudden have all these hopes with these young guys and they show reason, not necessarily that they're going to be like world beaters in this season, but show that real promise that they can do something significant at the NHL level in 2-3 years from now.
We know you took in the Raptors preseason game, the NBA Canada Series last night at Rogers Arena, as did Thomas Muller and a number of the Whitecaps. Now, I'm not sure about the footwear there, Thomas. That looks like a European loafer, and I'm not sure that's what you're going to need shooting those 3-pointers. Rob?
No socks. That's tough. That's going to change.
Boy, yeah. Rob, 18,600 plus at the game last night. They sell it out every single year. They do have a Larry O'Brien trophy in the case. And, of course, there's another Toronto team that is gaining a lot of traction here this month in our city and across the land with their performance in the baseball playoffs. Quite simply, Rob, all these years later, because we were an NBA town with a team at one point, is Vancouver a Raptors town now?
Without a doubt, it is a Raptors town. And I've thought this for many years. The Raptors visit to Vancouver, this is one of my favorite events of the year. I mean, it's not quite an annual visit, but it's pretty close. They do such a good job with it. It does not feel like a preseason game when they come to town. They come with all the bells and whistles. They bring their own PA announcer. They bring the dance squad. They bring the DJ. They kind of do all.
They bring the Raptor and all his
super
antics, right?
Yes, super fan Nav Bhatia comes for this every single.
Did he really?
Yeah, good for Nav.
Yeah, he's there every single time, and so I have a great time with it. The crowd support is always very enthusiastic. These are not just like casual fans that sort of walk in. Like there's a lot of Raptors gear in the crowd. There were some Nuggets fans as well at this one, but this is not like a mostly neutral crowd. Like these are basketball fans. These are generally Raptors fans. They cheer at the right moments. They are, Jamal Murray, got an extra loud, ovation, all that sort of stuff. But where this really caught me off guard was more so when they first started coming, like 2015, 2016. I think they came 2018. And that was before the Raptors had won the championship. And you saw that like this was a pro Raptors crowd. Like these were a lot of fans wearing jerseys, wearing the merch. And for me, like I hadn't quite jumped on the Raptors bandwagon at that time. And it was like, I was like, wow, like this is really like solidified it for me that this is a Raptors town. Obviously there's fans of all sorts of different teams. I know there's Raptors haters, but especially after winning the title in 2019, I think that it did a lot of like what the Blue Jays did, right? Like there were Jays fans in Vancouver, but we are
Jays 25 years
removed
from
we're
the
25
Grizzlies.
years from the Grizzlies. So you have a couple of generations of young people who never knew the Grizzlies. I think the championship absolutely forged some new fans. It was an incredible run, of course. I mean, the drama of the Kawhi Leonard shot, and then, of course, you're playing Golden State in the final and all their star power. Right, so no,
but we have to separate this. We have to separate this from any thought that this support is indicative of this being an NBA market again, and that this will come back. It's not, though. That's an exclusive thought and an incorrect one. Correct, Rob?
Ooh.
Well, I mean, I think the biggest hurdle for Vancouver getting an NBA team is who's going to buy it, and do they need to build another arena? Because I think an NBA team's too rich for the Aquilinis at this point.
Oh, for sure.
And who wants to buy an NBA team and be a tenant of the Aquilinis at Rogers Arena? I think there's a huge stumbling block there. Like you need a a billionaire that loves basketball and has a connection to Vancouver and really wants to make this happen. So until that happens, it's
a pipe.
We're just streaming. But in terms of like, hey, is this a basketball town? Could this city support the NBA? I mean, we're showing all the signs that we can. I mean, every time the Raptors come here, even when they've had NBA preseason games here without the Raptors involved, we've had great fan support. So people continually support the NBA in Vancouver. So in that respect, if you look at the money that's in the city, you look at how Vancouver's grown just in sheer population, like the greater Vancouver area, where we're at a 3 million population city now. Compare that to some other cities around the NBA that have teams. I think it's not ideal that you'd be going head to head with the Canucks. Given that
that's why you need the common ownership. That's the only way that it works in this town. Being a hockey town, you'd need common ownership so they can work off each other.
Hold on. So the biggest obstacle to Vancouver getting an NBA team is Seattle, because that is a priority destination for the association over Vancouver right now. And of course, the second NBA expansion team, and I suspect it will be Vegas, but we shall see, is also a hurdle. So you're not looking at the next round of expansion. You are at best looking at relocation or expansion beyond that. I'll put this B in both of your bonnets. A really rich guy buys the Vancouver Canucks and then sets his sight on bringing an NBA team to his building.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Common ownership would be the only way. But the person that buys the Canucks has to be doubly rich to be able to afford both of those teams. So we're down to a list of about 3.
you kind of need a situation like they have in Utah, right? I don't think anybody was thinking that Utah was going to be an NBA and NHL, or Salt Lake City would be an NBA and NHL city.
Yeah, small city.
But you got the right owner there. You got someone that can build a practice facility in 1 year. He fixed the seats at the Delta Center as well. So yeah, they need a Ryan Smith type owner perhaps here that has the money to own both teams and build practice facilities at a snap of a finger. If you get somebody like that, then maybe it's possible.
Brian Hill, Aritzia, net worth. Only $1.6 billion.
We're not there.
Mr. Hills needs a partner or some investors. Rob, wonderful stuff. Thank you for the time. Good to reconnect, my friend. We'll put you down for 100 points, third in the Pacific, and we'll catch up next Thursday.
Sounds great, guys.
Sekeres & Price from the historic Wall Center, built by Arbor Lee. And if there's a big game downtown, make it more than just a night. Make it a memory. Stay steps from the action here at the Sheraton Wall Center, Vancouver. An exclusive Sekeres & Price rate. Call 604-331-1000. Mention us. Some blackout dates apply based on availability. Terrific Monday night football game and terrific win for the now 4-1 Jacksonville Jaguars, who beat Kansas City on a late TD scramble by quarterback Trevor Lawrence.
Stumble or scramble?
Yeah.
It's a weird,
I loved his post
game.
I loved his post game. What was going through your mind on that play? Sheer panic, utter panic.
There was a couple plays
Tripped
in that
on
game.
My center.
He had a couple of weird plays. Like that was not a textbook.
He's still
outing.
weird, man. Like I had much higher hopes for him, but who knows? Maybe he's starting to put it together. I mean, that throw just before the PI, that could easily be an interception. He is, when they get to the score zone, man, he is.
I wonder if
some
the
of the
planets,
decision making.
They're 4-1, but I think the planets have just aligned for them to get to 4-1. I'll believe that they are 7-2 when I see it.
Yeah. 14-point comeback. That marked the fifth double-digit comeback of the week. And Kansas City had won 23 straight when leading by 14 or more. Now, 17 games this NFL season have featured go-ahead scores in the final minute of regulation. That is the most since the 1970 merger. So far, so good. This time last year, Blake, we were saying, boy,
yes, I was just going to say.
Yeah.
Just going to say it was a really boring start to the year last year, and it's not the case this year. So
that Jacksonville win also means the AFC South is the only division with 2 4-win teams in Indianapolis and Jacksonville. Who would have predicted that? Of course, Seattle blew a chance for the NFC West to have that with that loss to Tampa on Sunday. NFC North, the only division where every team is 500 or better, and we have it.
And that's the good news for Seahawks fans is you can rend your garments over a bad loss like the last week, but when you see everybody else doing it, like the teams that you want to compete with doing it, you can sort of say, okay, it's just we're par for the course at the very least right now, 3-2.
And we have a trade. The Cincinnati Bengals have seen enough of Jake Browning instead of Joe Burrow. They are making a trade for Browns quarterback Joe Flacco, so he crosses the state of Ohio. He goes with a 6th-round pick for a 5th-round pick for Cleveland. That means Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, maybe, for the Brownies. CFL, where I heard back from lead statistician Steve Daniel regarding that 3-way tie we mentioned last week. If BC, Calgary, and Winnipeg were all to finish 9-9, that creates a 3-way tie-breaking procedure. BC has the head-to-head tiebreaker against Calgary. Calgary has the head-to-head tiebreaker against Winnipeg. Winnipeg has the head-to-head tiebreaker against the Lions. So, in the event of a 9-9 3-way tie, it would finish Calgary, BC, Winnipeg. So the Lions would visit McMahon for the West Semi. The Bombers would go east, likely to Montreal. And the Lions got some bad news yesterday with regards to their push for a home playoff game. The Toronto Argonauts announced that quarterback Nick Arbuckle is being shut down for the season after they were eliminated from playoff contention. The Grey Cup hero from last November here at BC Place when he replaced and injured Chad Kelly and won the Argos the CFL championship.
He's had a great year,
He's
too.
had an outstanding season. Kelly's going to miss the whole year, so they're down to third stringer Jared Dagey, who will start Friday in Regina and likely again next week in Calgary. Oddity that Toronto is playing two West teams to finish off their season. And, of course, both of them have implications for the Lions. If Saskatchewan wins one more game, they clinch first place and hosting duty for the West Final. BC still has an outside chance of that in that Calgary game 2 weeks from now. Boy, you hope the Argos are representative in that game. Keon Hatcher, James Butler, and the rookie Jackson Finley from North Vancouver named to the CFL's honor roll for their Week 18 performances. Finley, 2 interceptions in 2 starts in place of the injured Christophe Beaulieu. He's had an outstanding start to his CFL career. He graded out as the second best defensive player of the week. So well done, Jackson Finley. And some sad news from the football world here in Vancouver. Legendary UBC Thunderbirds coach Frank Smith has passed away at the age of 94. His UBC teams appeared in 4 Vanier Cups. They won in 1982 and 1986. He was inducted to the BC Sports Hall of Fame in 2017, and his 86 Thunderbirds were actually just selected to the BC Football Hall of Fame last week. Very nice words coming out of the Lions facility for a gentleman who was a builder of the sport in this community and had a long association with the Lions. I saw Neil McAvoy's statement. Of course, Neil goes way back in football in this community and with the club.
And, of course, the Smith family ran the UBC program after that. His son Casey took over that program before passing away far too young years ago. So, the Smith family, really a juggernaut grassroots
for sure
influence here.
And we send our condolences to the Smith family. Whitecaps officially without 5 players on international duty for Saturday's match in Orlando. You missed one yesterday, Mr. Price. And that's because of what we reported last week, that Rayan Alume has decided to play for Tunisia internationally. He's a dual citizen, but he didn't have a lot of experience with the Canadian youth program. So he will go off to the Tunisia under-23 team.
That's the good news, is that doesn't cap him. If he wants to change his mind and join Canada, he still can
at some point.
Yeah.
Ali Ahmed and Jaden Nelson, of course, for Canada. Kenji Cabrera for Peru. Andres Cubas for Paraguay. Now, neither San Diego nor Minnesota plays this weekend. So this is Vancouver Whitecaps FC game in hand that we've been talking about for an awfully long time here.
Yep.
4th place chaser LAFC has 2 games in hand. They will make that up tomorrow against TFC and then against Austin on Sunday to get even on games with both the Caps, Minnesota, and San Diego. So the good news is on Sunday we won't have to worry about games in hand. It will all be in front of us for decision day in MLS. Sebastian Berhalter is the MLS player of the match day, and that makes it 3 Caps to have taken home that weekly honor this season. They've had 4 just once in 2013.
By the way, Orlando's missing 9 players in the international window.
Wow.
So,
and bad news for the Canadian men's national team, where center back Moise Bombito suffered a non-displaced tibia fracture while playing for his club, Nice, of France's league over the weekend. You were most excited about his return to the squad.
He's their best defender. Like, without a doubt, he's their best defender, and now he's gone for – it's the same break as Tajon Buchanan, and Tajon has bounced back marvelously.
Yep.
So that's the good news, but it's 5 months recovery. It means he's going to get in a little bit before the World Cup. But
it's next March. There's an international window next March. He's going to miss this October. He's going to miss the November windows, but there's an international window next March, so hopefully get some run before the World Cup.
I doubt the club wants him to play in March, though. They'll probably skip that one as well and say we'd like him to play for us before he plays for you guys. So we'll have to see.
Well, I mean, it's October. October, November, December, January, February. He could have some run for Nice before the international window. Plus, we got a World Cup to win here, Blake.
Yeah, but these are multiple interests.
Intern Elijah just snickered at that. We've got a World Cup to win here next June, everybody. Yeah. Let's think positively. It's time of year for positivity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kamal Miller has been named as his replacement for these friendly matches. Baseball, where we could be looking at a lightning round in the divisional series. Dodgers and Brewers both win last night to take 2 Buzz Series leads. LA is heading home. Milwaukee heading to the friendly confines of Wrigley, where the Cubs are just running out of pitchers. Jays can finish off the Yankees tonight at the stadium in the Bronx. Shane Bieber opposes Carlos Rodon. Mariners in Detroit, where it's wet. Thunderstorms, lots of rain expected in Detroit today. As we sit right now, they're expecting to get the game in, although there will be no on-field activities pregame, so no BP. Logan Gilbert faces Jack Flaherty. Flaherty was pretty good in the wild card round. That series tied 1-1. Seattle guaranteed at least another home game at T-Mobile, either in Game 5, the deciding Game 5, or if they advance to the ALCS by winning both contests in Detroit. And Canadian first baseman Josh Naylor did not make the trip with the M's. That's because him and his wife were having a baby. He is there. He is in the lineup. Our friends at the Vancouver Canadians, hoping the parent club Blue Jays can advance, because we got some designs on a watch party, everybody, in the ALCS. We'll keep you abreast of that. In the meantime, get your C's tickets for next year, 604-872-5232 or CanadiansBaseball.com. And Blake, the Canada Super 60 Cricket Series begins at BC Place tomorrow and runs through Monday. Very big week of sports here in Vancouver, despite no Whitecaps, no Lions. Lions on a bye, Whitecaps away, Canucks getting going. The Super 60 Cricket Series, 6 men's teams, including the Vancouver Kings and White Rock Warriors, 2 women's teams, including the Vancouver Thunderbirds. It's cricket packaged in a North American style, with games lasting about 90 minutes as opposed to 90 days. Each team batting for 10 overs, that's 60 balls. And they're promising all-action contests with batters swinging for the boundary in search of runs.
It's playing the T10 rules. We just saw the T10 World Cup in North America,
which is the abbreviated version of the T20 rules.
Yeah.
Which, if you don't have 4 or 5 days to set aside for test cricket, is the next best thing, right?
Yeah. So cricket sevens, if you will. It'll be interesting to see what the buy-in is in for people here. I hope they get a lot of people in the stands, and it's good vibes.
And Blake, 19-year-old Canadian national teamer Yuvraj Samra, a prodigious batsman for the Brampton Blitz. He'll be hunting for more records in June against the Bahamas. He scored 50, no outs, off just 15 balls. The fastest a Canadian has ever gotten to a half century.
That's unbelievable, and I wish I knew what
you knew what I was talking about.
Yeah. They've got to stop making up the rules as they go. I've said this for years with cricket.
It is the one sport where, like, the score bug will flash, and I'll be like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So many numbers and decimal points.
Like, I can watch Aussie rules and stuff, and I don't know Aussie rules completely, but I can intuit sort of game plan, ideas. Gaelic football, same thing.
Surely cricket, you know if the bowler, not pitcher, but bowler, if he knocks off the wicket with his bowl.
The peg. Yeah.
Right. If he knocks the peg off, that's good for the bowling team.
Yeah.
Also, if the batsman hits the ball and it's caught,
also good for the bowling team.
Also good for the bowling team. And of course, if it goes beyond the boundary, that's good for the batting team.
Yeah. That's about all I got, though.
The Daily Faceoff Survivor Pool, officially live. You're running out of time to sign up for this. If you think you've got the hockey knowledge to go the distance, this one's for you. Game of elimination strategy, $2,500 grand prize. Here's how it works. You start with 2 lives. Each round, you pick one winner from the slate of NHL games. You can only use each team twice throughout the entire contest. If you get a pick wrong,
That's one life gone. If you get 2 wrong, you're out. Pool runs until there's just one fan standing, and the winner takes home $2,500. So if you're ready to outlast, sign up now at dailyfaceoff.com or hit the link in the show notes. May the best fan survive. Results of the Redwoods Golf Course poll question from yesterday. What are your expectations for Braeden Cootes? Blake, the options here were plays 9 games, plays a half season, plays the full season, or 0 expectations. The winner is
9 games.
Correct. Percentage?
40.
62.
Whoa.
0 got 22%. Plays the full season, got 13%. Half season, 4%. Roberticus, I think it's a little risky to give him more than 9 games, but he deserved the NHL paycheck for as long as he's here. David, I'm going 0 expectations. Just enjoy the ride. And Jimmy says, one day in the future, number 80 will be in the rafters.
Oh, wow. Trevor Linden-like expectations.
A little ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Errors and omissions from yesterday's program. I said there was a missing visual on that Arizona-Tennessee game that I do believe Mike has now. Here it is. Yeah, the caption there, Arizona lost this game. There's DeMarcado going in to score a touchdown to put them up 21, if not 22 points.
22 points.
With 12:42 left. Somehow they lost that football game. Good news for the Seahawks. I had Sebastian Berhalter on 2 goals and 2 assists. It was just the 1 assist, so 3 goal contributions.
Still on the play, the team of the match day, player of the match day, I believe. Yeah.
And then Blake, you'll hate this one. I learned so much about this meaningless, hollow, vacuous expression that young people are using.
6'7".
6'7". I thought the hand motion was more a you can't see me thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 6'7". Come see, come saw.
Yeah, that's quite the graphic right there. Look at that.
It's pretty good, Mike.
Yeah.
I didn't even send him that one.
No, I saw
Came
that
up
one.
with that on his own.
I saw that one on.
Did the interns have a hand in this?
We found that one yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, wow. 67 there in the back. That is the pièce de résistance,
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah.
Anything to self-report, Blake?
A lot of guys last night at the Raptors game versus Nuggets that were 6'7".
Blake's going to self-report his entire analysis of Braeden Cootes' chances of making this team.
6-7 games. Tops.
Not bad. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Appreciate you spending some time connecting with the program. Please do subscribe to all our assorted channels. YouTube. Got to thank everybody on YouTube. We had a very, very big day on YouTube, so very much appreciated. Thank you. Wherever you get your podcasts, make sure to follow, sign up there. Follow on social, accents of Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky, live on many of those platforms, noon Pacific time weekdays. And, of course, support the community sponsors you hear us telling you about and keep it local.